What if I told you that a whole bunch of people who seem financially stable, maybe even well off, are actually, well, they're drowning in debt? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the surprising new reality of household debt. And let me tell you, it's a crisis that's hitting way more people than you probably think.
Okay, first things first, let's just wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this. The total household debt in the U.S. has hit an absolutely staggering $18.8 trillion. Just let that sink in for a second. To put that into perspective, that's bigger than the entire economy of China. We're talking about a literal mountain of financial obligation, and it's sitting squarely on the shoulders of American families.
So when you see a number that massive, you got to ask, right? Who is actually struggling to pay all this back? Is it who you think it is? Well, the answer, it's probably not what you're expecting.
And that leads us right into our first big point here. See, the struggle to handle all this debt, it's broadening. It's spreading out across the whole economic landscape. And honestly, it's catching a lot of experts off guard.
For so long, the story we all kind of told ourselves about debt was that, it was mainly a problem for low-income folks. But that's just not the full picture anymore, not even close. This financial strain is creeping up, it's hitting the middle class, even the upper classes, and it's putting a real squeeze on families who, at least on paper, look like they should be doing just fine.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't just some theory. We've got the National Foundation for Credit Counseling saying loud and clear that they're seeing the exact same patterns of struggle in the budgets of high-income families that they used to only see with their lower-income clients. This thing is becoming a really widespread problem.
And to really paint a picture here, get this. The average family that's actually going out and looking for financial help, they have so much unsecured debt. We're talking credit cards, personal loans, stuff that isn't tied to a house or a car, that it equals 50% of their income. Seriously, just try to imagine that. Half your paycheck is gone, poof, straight to creditors before you even think about rent or food or anything else. That's the insane amount of pressure we're talking about here.
Okay, so if this struggle is hitting so many people, where are the cracks really starting to show? Let's dive into the data and see which kinds of debt are causing the most headaches.
All right, this table right here, it tells a really powerful story. Let's start at the bottom. You've got mortgages, right? A pretty low delinquency rate, 3.9%. Okay, but then as we go up the list, you can feel the pressure building. Auto loans jump to 7.7%. Credit cards are at 9.0%. And then you get to the top, student loans. A whopping 16.5% of them are delinquent. Let me say that again, 16.5%. That means more than 1 out of every 6 student loans is late on payments. This is where the pain is really being felt.
But here's the really scary part. These numbers, they aren't just sitting still. This isn't just a snapshot of one tough moment in time. Nope. The data is showing us that we are on a very clear and very concerning upward trend. Yeah, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York is pointing this out. The amount of household debt that's falling behind on payments is climbing. And this isn't just a little blip on the radar. It's a pattern. And it tells us that this whole problem is actually speeding up. And what's wild is that this isn't some slow burn that's been building for a decade. This upward trend in late payments, it really started gaining speed toward the end of 2025, and it just kept on going right into the new year. So what we're seeing is this clear, very recent negative momentum that's building up in the system.
But now we get to what might just be the single most alarming trend in all of this. It's about what's happening to the very safety nets that are supposed to help people climb out of debt in the first place.
Check this out. People are now missing payments on their debt repayment plans. And we need to be clear, these aren't just regular bills. These are carefully structured, budgeted plans, often made with a professional credit counselor, that are designed from the ground up to be a manageable, achievable path out of debt.
And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. It points out how concerning this is because these plans are literally tailor-made for a household's budget. They are designed specifically to be possible to meet. So when people start failing on their own rescue plan, well, that's a huge red flag. It tells you the financial pressure has just become completely and utterly overwhelming. And so all of this leaves us with one last, really unsettling question. Think about it. These repayment plans, they're supposed to be the financial safety net, right? So if that net is starting to break, if it's tearing under the sheer weight of all this debt, what in the world comes next for millions and millions of families? It's a question that has some massive implications, not just for them, but for the entire economy.